Dean Martin witnessed theft at a casino. His intervention shocked everyone. August 12, 1967, 11:30 p.m. As Dean Martin sat at the blackjack table in Flamingo Casino, no one knew that in 15 minutes he would save a young man's life. That night, Dean's plan was simple. A few hands of blackjack, a couple of drinks, then head to his room. But what he saw changed everything. Across the table sat a 19-year-old dealer. This kid named Tommy Rodriguez was trembling with fear, but the reason was unknown, and Dean was about to understand why. Because sitting across from Tommy was Victor the Snake Torrino. Torrino earned his snake nickname for being one of Vegas's most dangerous gamblers. And that night, he had come to destroy Tommy. But Dean Martin would never allow a young man to be crushed. What he did shocked everyone at that table. This story isn't just a simple casino memory. This story is actually about how a legend proved he was a legend with a conscience. How he delivered justice. How 15 minutes of courage saved a life, and it all started completely by chance. To understand that night, you need to know Dean Martin's situation in 1967. The 50-year-old Dean was in the golden age of his career. Las Vegas was like Dean Martin's home. His regular shows at the Sands Hotel sold out every night, and casino owners treated him like royalty. But Dean Martin wasn't just a singer. He was a man who stood up for what was right. He had stood up to bullies in Steubenville as a child. And now he was showing the same courage in Vegas. This trait would save another life that night. On the evening of August 12, Dean completed his show at the Sands. He had the audience on their feet with Everybody Loves Somebody. The 2,800-seat venue went wild. Backstage, his manager Charlie Russo was waiting for Dean. "Dean, you were magnificent again. But you should rest a little." "Charlie, I'll wait for death to rest. Now it's time to have some fun." Dean took off his tuxedo and put on casual clothes. The night in Vegas was just beginning. He left the Sands and walked to the Flamingo. This was routine. Every night he would visit different casinos, play blackjack, and soak in the Vegas atmosphere. Music was playing on the Flamingo's casino floor, and cigarette smoke was dancing in the air. It was a typical Vegas night. Dean headed to the blackjack tables. He was looking for an empty seat. That's when he noticed something that caught his attention. At the corner table was a young dealer. The kid looked more tense than he had ever seen before. Dean approached and sat at the table. "Good evening, son. Do you know me? I'm Dean Martin." The young dealer swallowed hard. Good evening. Yes, I know you, Mr. Martin. I'm Tommy. Tommy Rodriguez." Dean watched Tommy. The kid's hands were shaking. His forehead was sweaty. His eyes were constantly moving. "First night?" Dean asked. "No, sir. I've been here for 3 months. But tonight is different." Dean was curious. "Different how?" Tommy pointed with his head to the other side of the table. There sat a middle-aged man in a dark suit. "Mr. Torrino. He's been playing for 2 hours, and he's watching everything I do." Dean knew Victor Torrino. This man, nicknamed the Snake, was one of Vegas's most frightening figures. He would intimidate young dealers into making mistakes, then blame the casino for it. Now Dean understood the situation. "Tommy, how old are you?" 19, sir. "Do you live with your family?" "Yes, I have my mother and little sister in East Los Angeles. This job is everything for them." Tommy's voice was trembling. Dean wanted to learn the details. "Tell me about your family, son." Tommy lowered his eyes. "My father died 2 years ago. Construction accident. My mother cleans offices at night, but it's not enough. My sister Maria is only 12, very smart. She dreams of becoming a doctor." This touched Dean's heart. He had heard this story before. It was his own story in Steubenville. "And you became a dealer to support them?" "Yes, Uncle Roberto taught me in his garage. He was a dealer in Havana casinos before Castro. He said I had natural hands, quick intelligence." "Your uncle sounds like a smart man. He was everything to us after Dad died. But he got sick last year. Cancer. Before he died, he made me promise to take care of the family with these skills." Now Dean understood. Tommy wasn't dealing just for money. He was carrying on his deceased uncle's legacy. Dean's heart ached. This kid was a victim of Torrino's games. At that moment, Torrino spoke. "Hey kid, you're dealing too slowly. Speed it up." Tommy's hands began to shake even more. He dropped the cards. I'm sorry. Tommy was collecting the cards in panic. Torrino smiled. A cold, calculating smile. "You're nervous tonight, aren't you? Maybe you shouldn't be dealing if you can't handle the pressure." Dean felt the tension at the table. Torrino was trying to break Tommy. The game began. Dean bet $20. A normal amount. Torrino put down $500. To intimidate Tommy, Tommy dealt the cards. Dean got 9. Torrino got 7. "Hit me," said Torrino. Tommy drew a card. 4. Total 21. "Lucky hand," Torrino said, but his eyes were piercing through Tommy. Next hand. Dean again $20. This time Torrino put down $1,000. Tommy's hands were now shaking uncontrollably. Cards were dealt. Dean 8. Torrino's, "Kid, you better not mess this up," Torrino warned. As Tommy tried to draw a card, he dropped it from the table. "Damn it." Torrino stood up. "This kid is incompetent." Tommy was searching for the card on the floor, his face red with embarrassment. "I'm sorry, Mr. Torrino. Please, I'll be more careful." "More careful? You cost me money with your clumsiness." Dean had seen enough. Torrino was completely wrong, and was literally intimidating Tommy. "Victor." Dean raised his voice. "Sit down." Torrino looked at Dean. "This isn't your business, Mart. Actually, it is my business. This kid is doing just fine. You're the one causing problems. Listen, singer. I don't take advice from someone who makes a living singing songs." Dean stood up. The other tables in the casino began to quiet down as they witnessed the Dean Martin, Victor Torrino confrontation. "Tommy." Dean turned to the kid. "Keep dealing. Ignore this bully." "Bully?" Torrino's face turned red. "You don't know who you're messing with." "I know exactly who you are, Victor. A coward who picks on kids." A crowd began to gather around the table. Tommy dealt the cards. This time his hands were calmer. Dean's presence had relaxed him. Dean got 18. Torrino got 15. "Hit." Torrino's. Tommy drew a card. 10. Bust. Torrino. "You rigged this." Torrino yelled at Tommy. "You set me up for Martin." "Sir, the cards are random." "Shut up. You're cheating for Martin." Dean walked over to Torrino. "Victor, you lost fair and square. Accept it like a man." "Or what, singer? Are you going to serenade me to death?" Dean smiled, but his eyes were cold. "Tommy, keep dealing." "Victor, either play respectfully or leave." "I'm not going anywhere. This punk owes me money for his mistakes." Dean understood. Torrino was demanding mistake compensation from Tommy. Classic intimidation tactics. "How much do you think he owes you?" "500. For the card dropping incident." Dean pulled $500 from his pocket. He put it on the table. "There, now we're even. Either play or leave." Torrino took the money but was still angry. "This doesn't end here, Mark." "Actually, it does." Dean called the casino floor manager. "Mike, Mr. Torrino is done for the night." Mike Henderson was the Flamingo's floor manager, and loved Dean Martin. "Of course, Mr. Martin." "Mr. Torrino, your evening is over. You can't throw me out. I'm a paying customer." "Sir, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone who harasses our staff." Security guards approached Torrino. "This isn't over, kid." Torrino said to Tommy. "I know where you work." Dean stepped forward. "Victor, if you come near this kid again, you'll deal with me. And trust me, you don't want that." Torrino looked into Dean's eyes. He saw that this was no joke. "We'll see, Martin." Security escorted Torrino out. The casino returned to normal, but Tommy was still shaking. "Mr. Martin, I don't know how to thank you." "Kid, you don't need to thank me. But tell me, why is Torrino specifically targeting you?" Tommy hesitated. 3 weeks ago, he was playing at my table. He was drunk, betting big amounts. Lost about 10,000. Then he claimed I was dealing from the bottom of the deck. Were you? No, sir. Never. I'm honest. But he made such a big scene that management had to investigate. They found nothing wrong. But Mr. Torrino kept coming back, trying to prove I'm a cheater. Dean understood. Torrino was trying to blame his losing streak on Tommy. Tommy, how long have you been dealing? 6 months total. 3 months here at Flamingo. Before that, small games in East Los Angeles to help my family. Your technique looks solid. Where did you learn? My uncle taught me. He dealt in Havana before the revolution. Dean was impressed. Cuban technique. That's excellent training. The game continued. Tommy was now relaxed. Dean's presence made him feel safe. For the next hour, Dean made normal bets. He observed Tommy's skill. The kid was truly talented. Tommy, you're good at this. Very good. Have you thought about dealing in bigger games? I would love to, Mr. Martin. But I need references, recommendations. And after tonight, you have my recommendation. Tommy's eyes widened. Really? Really? But first we need to make sure Torrino doesn't bother you again. Dean was making plans. The next night, Dean did his normal show at the Sands. But after the show, he had a special announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night at Flamingo Casino, I'll be hosting a special charity blackjack tournament. All proceeds will go to the Las Vegas Youth Education Fund. The audience was excited. A Dean Martin charity event would be big. But Dean's real plan was different. The charity tournament would be at Tommy Rodriguez's table. Dean Martin's presence would keep Torrino away. Tournament night came. The Flamingo was packed. Celebrities, high rollers, media, everyone had come. Dean sat at Tommy's table. Also at the table were Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford and several Hollywood stars. Tommy was nervous, but excited. The biggest night of his career. Ladies and gentlemen, Dean announced, meet Tommy Rodriguez, one of Vegas's finest young dealers. Tonight he's dealing for charity and showing us all how it's done. Applause. Tommy smiled. The game began. Tommy gave a perfect performance. Smooth, professional, confident. Halfway through the evening, Torrino appeared. He was watching Dean from a distant table. Dean noticed but ignored it. He focused on Tommy. At the end of the tournament, $15,000 had been raised for charity. Tommy received a standing ovation. This young man, Dean said, represents the future of Las Vegas. Honest, skilled, and dedicated. After the event, Dean pulled Tommy aside. Tommy, I talked to my friend at Caesar's Palace. They have openings for experienced dealers in their VIP room. VIP room? Mr. Martin, I'm not experienced enough. Yes, you are. And the salary is 3 times what you make here. Tommy was speechless. Why are you doing this for me? Dean became serious. Tommy, when I was young, nobody gave me a break. I had to fight for everything. But when someone finally believed in me, it changed my life. Now it's my turn to believe in someone. Tommy's eyes filled with tears. I won't disappoint you, Mr. Martin. I know you won't, kid. Dean called Caesar's Palace management. He personally recommended Tommy. Within a week, Tommy started working in Caesar's VIP room. His salary tripled. Torrino could no longer touch him. Caesar's security was too strong. But the story didn't end there. 6 months later, Tommy Rodriguez had become one of Caesar's best dealers. VIP customers specifically requested his table. Tommy saved money and brought his mother and sister from East Los Angeles to Vegas. Better house, better schools, better life. Dean regularly checked on Tommy's situation. Like a proud father. Mr. Martin, Tommy said one day, I've saved enough money to start teaching dealing classes. I want to teach other kids like me. That's beautiful, Tommy. What will you call it? Rodriguez Dealing Academy. But the first scholarship will be called the Dean Martin Opportunity Fund. Dean was moved. Tommy, you don't need to. Yes, I do. You saved my life. Now I want to save others' lives. Tommy's academy opened. He trained dozens of young dealers. Many of them saved their families from poverty. Dean Martin's charity blackjack intervention that night created a ripple effect. One act of kindness, hundreds of changed lives. Victor Torrino. That's a different story. Torrino lost his reputation in Vegas. His attempt to stand up to Dean Martin made him a laughingstock. Eventually, he had to leave Vegas. Years later, Tommy Rodriguez became one of Vegas's most respected dealing instructors. His academy graduated over 500 dealers. At every graduation ceremony, he honored Dean Martin. One night, Tommy would say in his speeches, "A great man showed me that kindness is strength, not weakness, that protecting others requires real courage. Dean Martin taught me that lesson." Dean Martin's casino intervention in 1967 wasn't just about stopping bullying. It was about recognizing a young person's potential, creating opportunities, and providing lifelong mentorship. Tommy Rodriguez's success became part of Dean Martin's legacy. Singer, actor, humanitarian, but most importantly, advocate for the underdog. That night on the casino floor, Dean Martin proved that true strength lies in protecting the vulnerable. Victor Torrino tried to use power through intimidation. Dean Martin showed power through compassion. And in the end, compassion won. That's why that night at Flamingo Casino wasn't just a blackjack game. It was the triumph of courage, justice, and human dignity. Dean Martin wasn't sitting at a gambling table. He was investing in Tommy Rodriguez's future. And that investment paid returns for decades. Sometimes the biggest wins don't happen at the casino table, but in the human heart. Dean Martin never forgot that night, and Tommy Rodriguez never forgot the man who changed his life. One night, one moment, one decision. Sometimes that's all it takes to change everything.